My name is Miranda Henley. I'm 44 years old. 3 weeks ago, my phone rang at 6:12 in the morning. It was Peggy Sutton, my mother's next-door neighbor of 18 years. Her voice was shaking. "Honey, your mother's house has been dark for 3 days. I haven't seen her. My mother is 82. She has moderate dementia. She can't drive. She can't walk to the mailbox without someone holding her arm. I called my brother Craig 7 times. 7. He finally picked up on the last one and said 5 words I will never forget. She wandered off. Stop making a scene. My mother didn't wander off. My mother couldn't wander off. And what I found when I flew to Florida wasn't a confused old woman lost in a neighborhood. It was $340,000 missing from her accounts, a care facility that had never heard the name Dorothy Henley, and a brother who had been lying to every single person in our family for over a year. Before I take you back to that morning, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story speaks to you. Drop your city and your local time in the comments. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Now, let me take you back to a Tuesday in October, the day my brother's phone went to voicemail for the 7th time. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I managed supply chain operations for a mid-sized logistics company. Long hours, tight deadlines, a lot of spreadsheets. I've been doing it for 11 years. I'm a single mom. My daughter Lily is 14, and she's the reason I get up at 5 and don't stop moving until 10 at night. My mother Dorothy Henley lives in Claremont, Florida, a small town west of Orlando, quiet streets, old oaks. She taught 2nd grade for 35 years at the same elementary school. Everybody in that town knows her. Everybody calls her Miss Dot. 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with moderate dementia. The kind where she still knows your face, still hums along to the radio, but forgets she already ate lunch, forgets what month it is, forgets where she put her shoes, then forgets she was looking for them. My brother Craig is 49. He lives 20 minutes from Mom's house. When her condition worsened 2 years ago, we went through the court process and Craig was appointed her legal guardian. He also held her durable power of attorney for finances. I agreed to it because it made sense. He was local. I was 700 miles away. I trusted the arrangement. I trusted him. Every month, I sent $1,200 to help cover Mom's expenses. Groceries, medication, the part-time caregiver he said he'd hired. Every Sunday, I called Mom on her iPad for a video chat. That was our routine. But about 2 months before Peggy's call, those Sunday sessions started disappearing. Craig always had a reason. She's napping. She had a rough night. Maybe tomorrow. The iPad's acting up again. I told myself it was the disease. I told myself she was just having bad days. I didn't want to believe the alternative. Tuesday, October 8th. My alarm hadn't gone off yet when the phone lit up. Peggy Sutton doesn't call early. She's a retired postal worker, 70 years old, and she respects other people's mornings. So when I saw her name at 6:12 a.m., I answered before it rang twice. "Miranda, I'm sorry to call this early." Her voice was tight. "Your mama's house has been dark 3 nights straight. Mail's piling up. I knocked yesterday and the day before. Nobody answered. I sat up in bed. Did you try Craig? I don't have Craig's number, honey. I only have yours. I dialed Craig. Voicemail again. Voicemail a 3rd time. Voicemail. On the 4th call, he picked up. Background noise, a TV, maybe a bar. What, Craig? Peggy says, Mom's house has been dark for 3 days. Where is she? She wandered off. I'm handling it. Stop making a scene. She can't wander off, Craig. She needs help getting to the bathroom. I said, I'm handling it. He hung up. I sat there for 90 seconds staring at the phone. Then I opened the Life 360 app, the one I'd installed on Mom's iPad a year ago so I could check she was home. The dot was gone. The device had been offline for 4 days. I opened my laptop, pulled up flights. Raleigh to Orlando, 10:40 a.m., 1 seat left. I called my manager. Family emergency. I need at least a week. She didn't hesitate. I called my best friend Shondonda and asked if Lily could stay with her. Of course, go. Lily stood in the hallway in her pajamas watching me pack. Is Grandma okay? I zipped the bag. I'm going to find out. I landed in Orlando at 12:47. Enterprise rental counter, mid-size sedan, GPS set to Claremont. 38 minutes on the 429. I I pulled into Mom's driveway at 2:15 p.m. The grass in the front yard hadn't been cut in weeks. The mailbox was stuffed. Flyers, electric bill, a Walgreens circular still in plastic wrap. 3 days of newspapers fanned across the porch. The spare key was still under the third ceramic pot right where it had been since I was in high school. Inside, the house smelled stale. Not rotten, just still, like nobody had opened a window in a while. Their refrigerator had a quart of expired milk and a package of sliced turkey that had turned gray. The trash can under the sink was empty, no bag in it. Then I saw the pill organizer on the kitchen counter. It was one of those weekly ones. Monday through Sunday, morning and evening compartments. Thursday through Sunday, 4 days, still full. Little white tablets and blue capsules sitting in their slots untouched. My mother takes blood pressure medication. She takes Donepezil for the dementia. She takes a low-dose aspirin every morning 4 days without any of it. And Craig told me she was fine. I walked through the rest of the house. Her bedroom was made, not the way Mom makes a bed, but flat, tucked military tight, like someone tidied up before leaving. Her reading glasses were on the nightstand. Her purse was in the closet. Then I found it on the kitchen table, half hidden under a stack of junk mail. A single envelope from a place called Lakeview Senior Living. Letter inside was addressed to Dorothy Beckett. Beckett was my mother's maiden name. Nobody had told me she'd been moved anywhere. I drove to Craig's house. It was a subdivision called Eagle Ridge. Newer homes, 2-car garages, HOA-maintained hedges. I'd been there twice in the last 3 years, both times for Thanksgiving. He opened the door in gym shorts and a polo, beer in hand. The surprise on his face lasted half a second before it hardened. You didn't need to fly down here. Where is Mom, Craig? He leaned against the door frame. She's at a facility, a good one. She needed 24/7 care and I couldn't do it anymore. What facility? What's the name? What's the address? He scratched his jaw. Sunrise something over by the lake. There's no Sunrise facility in Lake County. I checked on the drive over. Maybe it's a different name. I don't remember off the top of my head. You don't remember the name of the place where our mother lives? His posture shifted, shoulders squared. You live 700 miles away, Miranda. You send a check-in, think that makes you involved. I'm the one who bathed her. I'm the one who fed her. Don't come down here acting like you have a say. Behind him in the hallway, I caught a glimpse of Denise, his wife. She was standing just past the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, face pale. She looked at Craig, then at me. Craig, she said quietly, just tell her where Mom is. He didn't turn around. He kept his eyes on me. Go home, Miranda. I've got it handled. I stepped back from the door. I didn't raise my voice. It didn't need to. I'm not leaving Florida until I see my mother with my own eyes. He shut the door. The next morning, I walked into the Wells Fargo branch on Highway 27, the one Mom had used for 20 years. I told the teller I needed to see a statement for my mother's account, Dorothy Henley. I gave her date of birth, social security, everything I knew. The branch manager came out, mid-40s, reading glasses on a chain. She sat me down at her desk, typed for a minute, then folded her hands. Miss Henley, I can't share account information with you. The power of attorney on file belongs to Mr. Craig Henley. He's the only authorized party. I'm her daughter, I understand. But without legal authorization, my hands are tied. She paused. Then she leaned in slightly, dropped her voice a notch. I would encourage you to speak with an attorney. It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. She wasn't brushing me off. She was warning me. I drove back to Mom's house and started going through every drawer, every folder, every envelope. In the filing cabinet in the spare bedroom, I found 3 bank statements from 10 months earlier. The kind they used to mail before everything went digital. The balance on the most recent one, $412,000. That was everything. The money from selling the house in Michigan, 35 years of teaching, Social Security, Dad's small life insurance payout, her entire safety net in one number. And I was sending Craig $1,200 a month on top of it. 14 months of payments, $16. $800 into his hands. Something in my chest shifted. Not panic, not grief. A colder thing. the kind of calm that comes when you stop hopping and start calculating. I picked up my phone and searched. Elder law attorney Orlando. Janet Morales had an office on East Colonial Drive, second floor of a building that smelled like new carpet and old coffee. She was 52, compact, direct, the kind of woman who finishes your sentence not because she's rude, but because she already knows where you're going. I told her everything. The dark house, the pill organizer, Craig's shifting story, the bank statements from 10 months ago, the letter addressed to Dorothy Beckett. She listened without interrupting. When I was done, she opened a legal pad and drew a line down the center. "This is a textbook pattern," she said. Step 1, we file a report with Adult Protective Services, the Florida Abuse Hotline today. Step 2, I petition the court for a subpoena on your mother's bank records. All accounts, 24 months. Step 3, we hire a forensic accountant, someone who reconstructs financial histories, traces every dollar in and out. If your brother moved money, they'll find where it went and when. She tapped the pad. Florida Statute 825.10351035 gives us the authority to file for an injunction to protect your mother from exploitation. That injunction can freeze assets, restrict access, bar your brother from contact if necessary. Craig was appointed guardian by a judge. Can the court actually take that back? Janet set down her pen and looked at Mestrate. If we prove breach of fiduciary duty, yes. The same court that gave him authority can revoke it. That's how the system works. But we need evidence, not suspicion. Evidence. I thought about the pill organizer, the dark house, the letter with the wrong name. I didn't have proof yet, but I had a trail and I knew how to follow trails. It's what I do for a living. I called the Florida Abuse Hotline that afternoon, 180,096A. The intake worker asked me to describe the situation. I gave her the facts. Missing mother, inaccessible medical records, guardian who refused to disclose her location, bank account I couldn't access. "We'll open an investigation," she said. "An APS investigator will be in touch within 24 hours. Her name was Ruth Cannon. She called the next morning, calm and methodical. She told me she'd begin contacting facilities immediately. That same afternoon, my phone buzzed. "Craig, you called APS?" His voice was low, shaking. "You reported me to the state." "Craig, I can't find Mom. You won't tell me where she is. You know what you just did? You know what this looks like? You're trying to destroy this family. I'm trying to find our mother. I've been taking care of her for 3 years. I bathed her. I sat with her at 3:00 in the morning when she didn't know where she was. And you send money and think you get a vote." I held the phone against my ear and said nothing. I'd heard this speech before, the version where my distance made me irrelevant, where geography was the same as abandonment. "Craig, where is our mother? That's all I'm asking." He hung up. 20 minutes later, Ruth Cannon called me back. Her tone was different, careful. "Miss Henley, I ran your mother through our database. Dorothy Henley doesn't appear in any licensed facility in Lake County." "What do you mean?" "I mean, she's not registered under that name anywhere in the county." I thought about the letter on the kitchen table. Dorothy Beckett. My mother was somewhere in Florida under a name that wasn't hers, and my brother was the one who put her there. I'm standing in my mother's empty kitchen, and my brother just hung up on me for the 3rd time. The state can't find her. The bank won't talk to me. And Craig is telling everyone I'm the one tearing this family apart. If you've ever tried to protect someone you love and been told you were overreacting, you know exactly where I'm standing right now. If this story is hitting close to home, hit that subscribe button. I don't say that lightly. Now, let me tell ya what happened when the forensic accountant got involved. Helen Traws didn't look like someone who dismantles financial fraud for a living. She was 58, gay-haired, reading glasses perched low on her nose, and she carried a leather portfolio that looked older than me. CPA, certified in financial forensics, 20 years of elder exploitation cases across 3 states. Janet arranged the meeting at her office 2 days after the subpoena was filed. Helen sat across from me and asked 15 questions in 10 minutes. Account numbers, bank names, whether Mom had investment portfolios, whether Craig held any businesses, whether there were joint accounts, trusts, or beneficiary designations I knew about. I answered what I could. I need the subpoenaed records, Helen said. 24 months of statements, all accounts. Once I have them, give me 2 to 3 weeks. I'll reconstruct the full financial history, every deposit, withdrawal, transfer, and fee. What will that tell us? Everything. She closed her portfolio. Where the money went, when it moved, who authorized it, whether it matches any legitimate expenditure. I'll build a visual timeline, dates on one axis, dollar amounts on the other, every transaction mapped to its destination. Janet added, the court granted the subpoena yesterday. The bank has 10 business days to comply. I looked at Helen. What do you think he took? She didn't blink. I don't guess. I trace. The numbers will tell us everything. And if it's bad, then we'll have a document that tells the judge exactly how bad, in a format no one can argue with. She adjusted her glasses. Judges don't read spreadsheets, Miss Henley. They read stories told in numbers. That's what I build. I walked out of that office feeling something I hadn't felt since Peggy's call. Direction. Craig moved faster than I expected. Within 48 hours of the APS report, he'd called everyone. Aunt Barbara, Mom's 76-year-old sister in Lakeland, 2 cousins in Tampa, a family friend from church. All of them got the same story. Miranda is trying to steal Mom's money. Miranda abandoned Mom years ago. Miranda hired a lawyer because she wants control. Aunt Barbara called me first. She was crying. Miranda, honey, Craig says you're suing him. He says you want the guardianship so you can get to your mama's accounts. Why didn't you talk to the family first? Aunt Barbara. Mom was missing for 3 days. Craig wouldn't tell me where she was. He said she's at a nice place near the lake. He said she's comfortable. Had old APS the same thing. They can't find her. Well, maybe it's a mix-up with the name. It's not a mix-up. Silence. Then Craig has been there every day, honey. He takes her to church. He cooks for her. You're the one who left. I let the sentence sit. I didn't correct her. There was no point. Craig had gotten to her first, and the version he built was clean and familiar. The devoted son, the absent daughter. 3 more calls came that day. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in 2 years. A woman from Mom's Bible study, Craig's neighbor, all delivering the same message in different words. You're wrong. Craig is good. Stop. 12 messages by nightfall. Not one of them asking where my mother actually was, but buried in Aunt Barbara's call was a detail she didn't realize she'd given me. Craig told her Mom was at a nice place near the lake. She likes it there near the lake. That was the first real clue. The bank statements arrived at Janet's office on a Thursday. A thick manila envelope stamped confidential. Helen picked them up that afternoon. 5 days later, she called me in. Her laptop was open on the conference table. A timeline filled the screen, color-coded, annotated, stretching across 14 months. Sit down, she said. The starting balance 14 months ago, $412,000. The current balance, $68,000. $344,000. Gone. Helen walked me through it. 9 wire transfers to 3 separate accounts. 2 of them belonged to Craig personally. The third was an LLC called Henley Hospitality, a restaurant he'd opened 18 months ago that closed 8 months later. Money was still flowing into that LLC months after the door shut. Then there were the ATM withdrawals, $800 to $2,000 a week, pulled from machines near Craig's house. Helen had matched the merchant codes. A significant portion traced back to online gambling platforms. Every month, she said, scrolling, $1,200 comes in from a deposit labeled M. Henley. That's you. Every month, that $1,200 moves to Craig's personal checking account the same day. None of it reaches any vendor associated with Dorothy Scare. I stared at the line items. My money, Mom's money, all going to the same place. There's one more thing. Helen zoomed into a recurring monthly payment, $4,200 to Lakeview Senior Care. The facility charges $2,800 a month for the room your mother occupies. Craig is billing her account $4,200. He's pocketing the difference, $1,400 a month, and the name on the intake. Helen turned the screen toward me. A scanned document. Admission form. Patient Dorothy Beckett. That's her maiden name. I said, I know, Helen said. Someone registered her under a name that wouldn't show up in a standard search. Ruth Cannon from APS put it together first. Near the lake, Aunt Barbara's words. Dorothy Beckett, the name on the intake form. She cross-referenced facilities in Lake County with that name and found it in 20 minutes. Lakeview Senior Care, Tavares, Florida, 40 minutes north of Claremont. Ruth and I drove up together. The facility sat at the end of a residential road, beige stucco, flat roof, a parking lot with 6 cars. The lobby smelled like floor wax and microwaved meals. The woman at the front desk pulled up the record. Dorothy Beckett admitted 3 weeks ago. Room 14. We walked down a narrow hallway with fluorescent lighting and gray carpet. Room 14 was at the end, the door half open. Mom was lying on a single bed in a room barely larger than a storage closet. The blinds were drawn. No photographs on the wall. No flowers, no books. The woman who taught second grade for 35 years and kept orchids one-every windowsill was lying in a room with nothing in it that belonged to her. She was thinner. Her arms looked like they'd lost a season of weight. Her hair was unwashed and flat against the pillow. I stepped inside and said her name. Mom! She opened her eyes, looked at me. 10 seconds of silence. Miranda, is that you, baby? I sat on the edge of the bed and took her hand. Her fingers were cold. Ruth stood in the doorway, writing in her notebook. She documented what she saw. Signs of inadequate nutrition, medication records that showed gaps, no physician visit logged in 3 weeks. Then she checked the intake form taped to the clipboard by the door. Under next of kin, Craig Henley under authorized visitors. None. He hadn't just moved her. He'd sealed her off. 2.5 weeks later, Helen called me into Janet's office for the full presentation. She'd printed the forensic report, 46 pages bound with a clear cover. But the centerpiece was the visual timeline, now projected onto the conference room screen. 14 months across the horizontal axis, dollar amounts on the vertical. Every transaction was a red dot connected by a thin line to its destination. Craig Henley personal account, Henley Hospitality, LLC, ATM, cash withdrawal. The dots clustered thick in the last 6 months when the withdrawals accelerated. Total diverted funds $340,000, Helen said, clicking through slides. $180,000 to Craig's 2 personal accounts. $95,000 to the Henley Hospitality LLC, which for the record ceased operations 8 months ago. $65,000 in ATM cash withdrawals, the majority of which correspond to transaction patterns consistent with online gaming platforms. She paused. None of it, not $1, was used for Dorothy Henley's medical care, housing, or personal needs. Janet was taking notes, but she looked up. Will this hold in court? I've prepared a sworn affidavit to accompany the petition. I'll testify if needed. Helen clicked to the final slide. A single image of the timeline, red dots bleeding into Craig's accounts like a medical scan showing where the damage was. This is what changes courtrooms. Judges don't have time to read through bank statements, but when they see 14 months of red dots flowing into one man's pockets, they don't need me to explain it. The picture tells the story. I stared at the screen. Every dot was a piece of my mother's life. Her teaching career, her frugality, her careful saving, reduced to data points on a fraud report. But those data points were going to bring her home. The intake form arrived via subpoena 2 days later. Janet spread it across her desk. Patient name Dorothy Beckett. Date of admission September 19th. Emergency contact Craig Henley. Relationship, son. And then halfway down the second page, a line that made Janet stop reading and look at me. Other living relatives? None. He wrote none, Janet said flatly. Your mother has a daughter, you and a sister. Your Aunt Barbara and Craig wrote none. What does that mean legally? It means thighs isn't carelessness. This is isolation, deliberate isolation of a vulnerable adult from her family. Courts treat that as one of the clearest indicators of elder abuse. She tapped the form. He didn't just fail to mention you, he actively erased you. There was more. The signature line at the bottom, Dorothy Beckett, was shaky, uneven. Janet had already requested Mom's signature from the original power of attorney filed with the court. They didn't match. Not the slant, not the pressure, not the letter formation. This was either forged or coerced, Janet said. A woman with moderate dementia doesn't produce a signature this different from her baseline without something being very wrong. She set the form down. He chose a facility in a different county, Lake County, instead of Orange County, where your mother actually lives. Different jurisdiction, different system, harder to find. He planned this. Yes, Janet folded her hands, and that's exactly what we're going to show the judge. I kept staring at those 2 words on the form. Other living relatives? None. My brother didn't just move my mother, he erased her. And he erased me in the process. Janet assembled the petition over the next 3 days. Injunction for protection against exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Florida Statute 825.1035. Attached Helen's forensic report with the visual timeline. Ruth Cannon's APS investigation summary, the falsified intake form, 24 months of bank statements, and medical records showing gaps in care. Emergency motion to revoke. Guardianship was filed alongside it. I signed both documents at Janet's desk on a Friday afternoon. My hand was steady. My stomach was not. The court will schedule an emergency hearing within 5 to 7 business days. Janet said Craig will be served. He'll have time to retain counsel. And in the meantime, because we have an open APS investigation and documented evidence of immediate risk, I've also filed for a temporary injunction. If the judge grants it, Craig will be barred from accessing your mother's accounts and restricted from unsupervised contact, effective immediately. I nodded. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. That night I called Lily. She answered on the first ring like she'd been waiting. How's Grandma? She's okay, sweetheart. I found her. She's safe. Good. When are you coming home? Soon. I just have to take care of something first. Lily was quiet for a second, then kick his butt, Mom. I laughed the first time in 3 weeks. It came out dry and short, but it was real. 2 days later, the judge granted the temporary injunction. Craig was served at his home by a process server at 9:15 on a Monday morning. He was now barred from my mother's accounts, barred from visiting her alone, and he knew what was coming next. The hearing was set for Thursday. Craig didn't go quietly. Within 12 hours of being served, he'd called every person whose number he had. Aunt Barbara, cousins in Tampa, the women from Mom's church circle, his own neighbors. The message was the same everywhere. Miranda is trying to steal everything. She hired lawyers. She's taking Mom away from me. My phone started buzzing that evening, 12 messages before midnight. Aunt Barbara crying again, Miranda. He says you got a court order against him. He says he can't even see his own mother now. A cousin I hadn't heard from in 2 years. This isn't right. Craig gave up his life for Aunt Dot, a woman I didn't recognize, one of Craig's church friends. You should be ashamed. That man has sacrificed everything. Then came the Facebook post. Craig wrote it on the First Baptist Claremont community page. My sister is trying to take my mother away from me. I have been her full-time caregiver for 3 years. I have given everything I have to keep her safe. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. 47 comments, every one of them supporting Craig. Praying for you, brother. Stay strong. God sees your heart. I read them all. Sitting on the hotel bed in Orlando, the phone screen glowing in the dark. 47 people praying for the man who drained my mother's life savings. 47 people who had no idea that their friend, their fellow deacon, had registered an 82-year-old woman with dementia in a facility under a false name and written no other living relatives on the form. That's the power of a good lie. It gets there first, and it looks exactly like the truth. I turned off the phone and set it on the nightstand face down. I went to First Baptist Claremont that Sunday not to make a scene. I needed to speak with Pastor Thompson. He'd known my family for 15 years. I thought if anyone would listen, it would be him. I didn't get that far. Craig was standing in the fellowship hall, coffee in hand, surrounded by 6 or 7 people. He saw me before I saw him. "Well," he said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Look who decided to show up. This is my sister, the one suing me for taking care of our mother." People turned. I felt every set of eyes. A woman near the pastry table, silver-haired pearl earrings, stepped forward. "You should be ashamed. Your brother gave up everything for your mama." I didn't respond to her. I looked past her directly at Craig. The room was quiet. "Where's Mom's money, Craig?" I said. $340,000. Where did it go? His face re-ended, his jaw clenched. "You're delusional. You need to leave." "That's not an answer. Get out of here, Miranda." I turned and walked toward the door. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I left the question hanging in that room like smoke. Outside in the parking lot, my hands were shaking, but my voice hadn't cracked. Not once. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. "Pastor Thompson, Miranda, I don't know what's true here, but I want you to know something." He paused. "Craig stopped bringing your mother to church about 2 months ago. He told me she was too ill. I asked to visit her, and he said the doctors recommended no outside contact." "Did you follow up?" A long silence. "No, I should have. Denise called me on a Tuesday night. Her voice was raw. That kind of raw that comes after hours of crying, not minutes. 'Miranda, I need to talk to you.' Okay. Craig told me he said he borrowed money from your mom's account. He said it was temporary. He said the restaurant was going through a rough patch and he was going to pay it back." "How much did he tell you he took?" "He said 40,000. I closed my eyes. 40,000. He told his wife 40,000. The real number was 340. Denise, I'm not going to lie to you. The forensic accountant has traced every dollar. It's not 40,000. Silence. How much? I can't get into specifics before the hearing, but it's significantly more. More silence. Then he told me it was just the restaurant. Denise, did you know about the gambling?" The pause was so long I thought the call had dropped. What gambling? There it was, she didn't know. Craig had 2 separate lives, the one Denise saw and the one the bank statements showed. "I'm not telling you this to hurt you," I said, "but Mom's money is gone, nearly all of it." Denise started crying again. Loud, just the kind of breathing that means someone's world just changed shape. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. "He told me she's at Lakeview, the one near Tavares. He said it was the best option. Confirmation, the name, the location, everything matched." Before she hung up, Denise said one more thing, barely above a whisper. "He told me not to call you." "I'm sorry, Miranda." "I know," I said. "Thank you for calling anyway." The night before the hearing, I sat on the edge of the hotel bed and opened a small box I'd brought from Mom's house. Photographs, old ones, faded Polaroids, and 4x6 prints with rounded corners. There was one from 1991. Mom standing behind Craig and me in the backyard. Craig was 15, holding the seat of my bicycle while I pedaled for the first time without training wheels. Mom was laughing, both hands up mid-clap. I was 10. My front teeth were missing. I held the picture for a long time. The man who taught me to ride a bike was the same man who moved our mother into a facility under a false name and emptied her accounts to cover gambling debts he'd hidden from his own wife. I kept trying to make those 2 people fit inside the same person, and they wouldn't. Janet called at 9. Everything's filed. Helen is prepared to testify. A PS report is submitted. Ruth will be there. "Are you ready?" "No," I said, "but my mother doesn't have time for me to be ready." I hung up and called Lily. "Hey, Mom. Hey, sweetheart. Big day tomorrow." "I know," she paused. "You've got these." "I hope so." "No, you've got this. You found Grandma. You got the records. You did everything right." I wanted to tell her that doing everything right doesn't always mean things work out. But she was 14 and she believed in me. And I wasn't going to take that from her. "I love you, Lily." "Love you too, Mom. Go get him." I set the photograph on the nightstand next to the hotel alarm clock, face up, Mom laughing, Craig holding the bicycle, me pedaling into the open. Tomorrow I'd walk into a courtroom against my own brother. Tomorrow morning I walk into a courtroom to face my own brother. I have the bank records. I have the forensic report. I have the intake form with a name that isn't my mother's. But Craig has something too. An entire community that believes every word he says. If you've ever had to stand alone when everyone else chose the easier story, tell me in the comments. I want to hear it. And if you've been listening this far, that subscribe button is right there. Let me tell you what happened when the judge saw those numbers. Orange County Courthouse, Thursday, 9:00 a.m. second floor. Room 2 be a small hearing chamber at the end of a hallway that smelled like floor polish and recycled air. No jury, no gallery full of spectators, just a compact room with a judge's bench, 2 tables, a projector screen, and a bafe by the door. At the left table, me, Janet, and Helen Traws with her laptop and a printed copy of the forensic report. At the right table, Craig and his attorney Douglas Fenn, adult man in a gray suit who kept adjusting his cufflinks. Behind us in the 2 rows of bench seating sat Ruth Cannon from APS, her file on her lap. Next to her, Denise, Craig's wife. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were swollen and fixed on the floor. At the far end of the bench, Aunt Barbara. Craig had brought her for support. She sat straight back, clutching her purse with both hands. The Honorable Patricia Voss entered from the side door. Mid-60s, silver hair pulled back, no-nonsense posture. She had a reputation in Lake and Orange County guardianship cases. Fair but sharp. She didn't tolerate wasted time. "This is an emergency hearing on the matter of Dorothy Henley," she said, settling in. "Petitioner seeks revocation of guardianship and an injunction for protection against exploitation under Section 825.1035. Respondent is Craig Henley, current court-appointed guardian." She looked at both tables. "Counsel for the petitioner, you may proceed." Janet stood. I stayed seated. My hands were folded on the table, knuckles tight. I didn't look at Craig. He was 12 ft away. He still wouldn't look at me. Janet stood and addressed the bench without notes. She didn't need them. "Your Honor, Respondent Craig Henley was appointed guardian of his mother, Dorothy Henley, approximately 2 years ago. During that time, and specifically over the past 14 months, approximately $340,000 has been transferred from Dorothy's accounts to the respondent's personal bank accounts and a business entity he controls." She paused. "Let the number sit. Additionally, respondent relocated Dorothy to a care facility in Lake County, outside the county of her residence under her maiden name, Dorothy Beckett. The intake form lists no other living relatives, despite the fact that petitioner Miranda Henley, Dorothy's daughter, is alive and has been actively attempting to maintain contact." Fenn stood. "Your Honor, my client has been the primary and sole caregiver for 3 years. The transfers in question were authorized expenditures related to Dorothy's medical care and housing. The relocation was a medical decision made in the best interest of the ward." Judge Voss looked at him over her glasses. "Authorized by whom?" "By the guardian, my client, under the authority granted by this court. I'll review the evidence. Petitioner, call your first witness." Janet turned. "We call Helen Traws." Helen rose from her seat beside me. She carried her laptop to the witness stand, connected it to the projector, and waited for the screen to load. I glanced at Craig. For the first time since we sat down, he shifted in his chair. His jaw was tight. His fingers drummed the table once, then stopped. Fenn leaned toward him and whispered something. Craig shook his head. The screen flickered on. A timeline filled the display. 14 months of red dots and labeled arrows. The room got very still. Helen adjusted her glasses and began. "Your Honor, I was retained to conduct a forensic reconstruction of Dorothy Henley's financial accounts over a 24-month period." She pointed to the screen. "This timeline represents every significant transaction. Each red marker is a transfer or withdrawal. The arrows indicate the destination." She clicked. The first cluster lit up. Between August of last year and this October, 9 wire transfers totaling approximately $340,000 were routed to 3 accounts. 2 are personal checking accounts held solely by Craig Henley. The third is a business account for an LLC named Henley Hospitality, a restaurant venture that ceased operations 8 months prior. Funds continued entering that account well after closure. She clicked again. A second layer of data appeared. An additional $65,000 was withdrawn via ATM. The merchant codes and withdrawal patterns are consistent with online gaming platforms. The room was silent. Judge Voss hadn't moved. Helen continued. The ward's daughter, Miranda Henley, deposited $1,200 per month into an account designated for Dorothy's care over 14 months. That totals $16,800. Each deposit was transferred to Craig Henley's personal account on the same day it arrived. None of it reached any vendor associated with Dorothy's medical, nutritional, or residential needs. She clicked one final time. A line graph appeared. The balance over time. A long, steady decline from $412,000 to $68,000. The current remaining balance is $68,000. Of the $344,000 that left Dorothy Henley's accounts, not $1 is attributable to her legitimate care. Helen closed the laptop. That concludes my analysis. No one spoke. Judge Voss stared at the now blank screen for 3 full seconds before turning her gaze to Craig. He was looking at the table. Ruth Cannon took the stand next. She described the APS investigation, the initial report, the failed search under Dorothy's legal name, the eventual discovery at Lakeview Senior Care in Tavars. When we located Ms. Henley, Ruth said she was underweight. Her medication records showed gaps of multiple days. There was no physician visit logged in over 3 weeks. She was alert but disoriented and showing signs of dehydration. Janet then entered the intake form into evidence. She held up the document so the judge could see it. Your Honor, this is the admission form for Lakeview Senior Care. The patient is listed as Dorothy Beckett, Miss Henley's maiden name. Next of kin is listed as Craig Henley, and under other living relatives, the form states, and I quote, none. She set the form down. Dorothy Henley has a daughter, the petitioner, Miranda Henley, who has been trying to reach her for months. She has a sister, Barbara, who is present in this courtroom. The respondent deliberately falsified this information to prevent family contact. Judge Voss turned to Craig. Mr. Henley, can you explain why your mother was registered under a different name? Craig straightened, his voice cracked on the first word. It was a mistake. The facility asked for her maiden name, and I just a mistake. Judge Voss's tone was flat. A mistake that also lists no other living relatives. Your sister is sitting 12 FT from you, Mr. Henley. Craig said nothing. In the bench behind him, Aunt Barbara's hand slowly came up to her mouth. Her eyes moved from Craig to the intake form projected on the screen. She was reading the words herself now. No other living relatives. She hadn't known until this moment. She hadn't known. Fenn stood and tried to study the room. Your Honor, my client was overwhelmed by the demands of full-time caregiving. The transfers were intended as short-term loans that he planned to repay. Loans? Judge Voss repeated the word like she was testing its weight. From a woman with moderate dementia who cannot consent to financial transactions. She folded her hands. Mr. Fenn, I've reviewed the forensic report in detail. There is no loan documentation, no repayment schedule, no written agreement. What I see is a pattern of systematic withdrawal from a vulnerable adult's accounts by the person this court entrusted to protect her. Fenn tried again. My client requests additional time to prepare a full financial accounting. Your client had 14 months to provide an accounting. He chose not to. Craig pushed back from the table and stood. Fenn reached for his arm, but Craig was already talking. I was going to pay it back. His voice broke. I just needed time. I got into trouble, and I thought I could fix it before anyone. Fenn pulled him down by the elbow. Craig sat. His face was red and wet. Behind him, Denise pressed her hand over her eyes. Aunt Barbara sat frozen, staring straight ahead. Judge Voss let the silence hold for 5 seconds. Then she spoke. It is the order of this court that Craig Henley's guardianship of Dorothy Henley is hereby revoked, effective immediately. Emergency temporary guardianship is granted to petitioner Miranda Henley. All accounts associated with Dorothy Henley are frozen pending further review. This matter is referred to the State Attorney's Office for Criminal Investigation under Florida Statute 825.103. She closed the file. This court's first obligation is to protect Dorothy Henley. That obligation was not met. We're adjourned. The gavel came down once. The room exhaled. The hallway outside the courtroom had that institutional hush. Polished floors, muffled voices, the distant hum of an elevator. Janet walked beside me. She squeezed my shoulder once and said, "You did the right thing." I nodded. I couldn't speak yet. My throat was locked. Craig came out 30 seconds later, Fen close behind, speaking low and fast into his ear. Craig's face was blank, not angry, not broken, empty. He walked past me without a glance. His shoes squeaked on the tile. He pushed through the glass door at the end of the hall and disappeared into the parking garage. Denise stopped in front of me. She was holding her car keys in both hands like she'd forgotten what they were for. "I didn't know about the gambling," she said. "I swear to God, Miranda, I didn't know. I believe you." Her chin trembled. She pressed her lips together, nodded once, and walked toward the elevator. She didn't follow Craig. She went the opposite direction. Aunt Barbara was the last one out. She moved slowly, her purse still clutched to her chest. When she reached me, her eyes were red and glassy. "I'm sorry, Miranda. I should have listened to you. You believed what he told you. Anyone would have." She shook her head. "He told me you were trying to take the money. He told me you never visited." She paused. "But you were sending money every month, weren't you?" I nodded. She put her hand on my arm. Her fingers were thin and cold. She didn't say anything else. She didn't need to. I stood in that hallway until the last footstep faded. Then I pulled out my phone and booked a drive to Tavares. I had someone to see. I walked into Lakeview Senior Care at 2:15 that afternoon. This time, the woman at the front desk already knew who I was. The court order had been faxed over an hour earlier. "Room 14, she said. "She's had lunch." The hallway looked the same. Fluorescent lights, gray carpet, that faint smell of disinfectant, and something warmer underneath. But this time, I wasn't a visitor asking permission. I was the legal guardian of the woman at the end of the hall. I pushed the door open. Mom was sitting up. Someone had opened the blinds. Late afternoon sunlight stretched across the foot of her bed. She looked at me. Her eyes focused the way they sometimes do, clear for a moment, like a radio catching the right frequency. "You came back," she said. "I'm not going anywhere, Mom, not anymore." I sat on the edge of the bed and took her hand. She squeezed once, light but real. I looked around the room. Bare walls, no cards, no quilt, no orchid on the windowsill. This woman had filled classrooms with alphabet posters and seasonal decorations for 35 years. She kept a garden in Michigan that made the neighbors stop their cars, and she'd been living in a room with nothing that belonged to her. Craig said, "You didn't want to see me anymore," she said. Her voice was matter-of-fact, the way dementia sometimes delivers information flat and certain without context. "That was never true, Mom, not for a single day." She nodded slowly, like she was filing it somewhere that might or might not hold. I reached into my bag and pulled out the quilt she'd made when I was 7. Blue and yellow squares, hand-stitched. She ran her fingers over it and smiled. That was enough. For now, that was everything. The next 2 weeks moved in straight lines. Janet filed the petition to convert the emergency guardianship into a permanent one. Eicheled memory care facilities near Raleigh and visited 3 before settling on Magnolia Ridge, 15 minutes from my house, a room with a wide window facing a small garden. Staff who introduced themselves by first name and didn't rush. Mom's neurologist at Lakeview did a full reassessment. Moderate dementia unchanged, but the doctor noted that consistent medication, regular meals, and structured social interaction could stabilize her and potentially slow further decline. "She's been neglected," he said. "Not beyond recovery, but the window narrows every month." I arranged medical transport, Claremont to Raleigh, a 2-day drive with an overnight stop in Savannah. I'd follow in my rental. Janet called me midweek with an update. The state attorney's office has opened a file on Craig. Exploitation of an elderly person, first-degree felony under 825.103. If they charge him and he's convicted, we're talking 5 to 30 years. I sat in the parking lot of Mom's facility and let that sink in. I didn't set out to send my brother to prison. "I know," Janet said. "But the law doesn't ask why you started looking. It asks what you found. There was one more thing. The $95,000 Craig had routed through Henley Hospitality LLC hadn't been reported to the IRS. An LLC taking an unreported income from a relative's account while the business is closed. That's a separate problem entirely. The audit was already in motion. Craig was losing the guardianship. He was facing felony charges. The IRS was circling. And the money, $340,000 of my mother's money, was mostly gone. Spent, gambled, burned. I couldn't get it back, but I got her back. That was what mattered. We left Florida on a Saturday morning. Mom rode in the medical transport van, a converted Sprinter with a reclining seat, and a nurse named Carla who called her Miss Dot without being asked. Lily and I followed in the rental. 8 hours to Savannah, one night in a motel with a parking lot that smelled like salt and warm concrete, then 6 more hours to Raleigh. Mom asked where we were going 3 times during the first stretch. Each time I answered the same way, same voice, same patience. "We're going home, Mom." The 3rd time, she just nodded and turned to watch the trees pass. We pulled into Magnolia Ridge a little after 4 on Sunday afternoon. Her room was ready. Wide window, afternoon light falling across the quilt I'd laid on the bed the day before. Photographs on the wall, Mom at her classroom desk. Mom and Dad on their wedding day. Me and Lily at the beach 2 summers ago. An orchid sat on the windowsill, purple, her favorite. Lily came in after me carrying a paper bag of books from Mom's house. She set them on the nightstand and turned around. Mom was standing in the doorway looking at the room, then at Lily. She tilted her head. 10 seconds. 20, you look like your mother when she was small. Lily blinked, then grinned. Everyone says that. We spent an hour arranging things. Lily taped a drawing she'd made, a sunflower in colored pencil above the reading chair. Mom watched from the bed, her eyes soft, her fingers tracing the edge of the quilt. That night, alone in my car in the Magnolia Ridge parking lot, I checked my phone. One message from Craig, 5 words. "You destroyed this family." I read it, then I deleted it. I didn't reply. 3 months after the hearing, the numbers had all come in. Craig was formally charged by the state attorney. Exploitation of an elderly person, first-degree felony under Florida, statute 825.103. Bond was set at $75,000. His dollars arraignment was scheduled for January. The church removed him from the deacon board. Pastor Thompson made the request privately. Craig didn't fight it. According to Aunt Barbara, he barely spoke anymore. His mortgage went into default 6 weeks after the hearing. Without access to Mom's accounts and no restaurant income, Craig couldn't cover the payments. The house in Eagle Ridge went into foreclosure by December. Denise filed for divorce in November. She moved to Jacksonville to stay with her sister. She didn't ask Craig's permission. She didn't negotiate. The IRS opened an audit on Henley Hospitality LLC. $95,000 in unreported deposits from a family member's account into a defunct business entity. That triggered a second investigation. Craig now had the state, the court, and the federal government looking at the same set of numbers. The Facebook post on the church page, 47 comments of support, was quietly deleted. I noticed it one afternoon when I checked. Just gone. No retraction. No correction, just an empty space where 47 people had once told my brother they were praying for him. Nobody claimed those comments now. I didn't feel satisfaction reading any of this. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt the weight of something that should never have happened. Not the crime and not the aftermath. My brother wasn't a stranger who broke into Mom's house. He was the kid in the Polaroid holding the back of my bicycle seat. But that kid grew into a man who chose his own debts over his mother's safety. The court doesn't forget, and neither does the IRS. Aunt Barbara called me every Tuesday after that. It became our routine, her way of rebuilding what Craig had cut. I keep thinking about that form. She said one evening, the one that said no other living relatives. I'm her sister. I've been her sister for 76 years. And he wrote none. I know. I should have asked questions when he told me you were the problem. I should have picked up the phone and asked you directly. You want Ted to believe him, Aunt Barbara. He's your nephew. That's not a flaw, that's family. She was quiet for a moment. It shouldn't be an excuse, though. No, it shouldn't. I thought about Craig in the weeks after the hearing. Not with anger, not anymore. I thought about the version of him that existed before the debts, before the gambling, before whatever pressure made him look at our mother's bank account and see a solution instead of a responsibility. There were years when Craig genuinely took care of Mom. There were mornings he drove her to her doctor's appointments, and afternoons he sat with her on the porch while she pointed at birds she couldn't name. That was real. I don't erase that. Somewhere along the way, the man who held her hand became the man who emptied her accounts. I don't know the exact day it turned. Maybe he doesn't either. Mom settled into Magnolia Ridge. She ate better. Her medication was consistent. She joined a music group that met Tuesday mornings, mostly humming some tambourine. She didn't remember everything, but she smiled more. One afternoon, she asked me, "Where's Craig?" I said, "He's not here right now, Mom." She nodded. Then she forgot she'd asked. I didn't lose a brother in that courtroom. I lost him the day he decided Mom's money was his way out. In February, I got a message through the facility's family support group, a woman named Sharon from Charlotte. She'd seen a post I made in an online caregiver forum about what happened with Mom. "My sister has power of attorney for our dad," she wrote. "He's in a memory care home in Virginia. She won't let me see his bank statements. She says I'm being paranoid, but things don't add up." I wrote back the same night. I told her what to do, step by step. Contact an elder law attorney. File a report with Adult Protective Services. Ask the attorney about subpoena options. Don't wait. 2 more messages came that month. Different women, same pattern, a sibling with control, a parent they couldn't reach. Financial details that didn't make sense. I started answering everyone. I wasn't an advocate. I wasn't a lawyer. I was a supply chain manager who followed spreadsheets for a living. But I knew how the trail worked now, and I knew how long it took when nobody told you where to start. At home, the new structure was simple. I was Mom's sole guardian. No one else had financial access. The court required quarterly reports. I filed themurely every time. I flew to Florida once a quarter for the judicial review, a 2-hour hearing where I submitted expense logs and medical summaries. Transparent, documented, every dollar accounted for. Lily visited Grandma every Saturday. They watched cooking shows together. Mom couldn't follow the recipes anymore, but she liked the colors. One evening, Peggy Sutton, the neighbor who started all of this, sent me a handwritten letter, 3 sentences. "Your mother would be so proud of you. I know because she told me back when she could still say it. You were always the one she talked about." 6 months later, a Sunday in April, warm enough that the staff at Magnolia Ridge opened the garden doors. Mom was sitting in a white plastic chair under a crepe myrtle, her face tilted toward the sun. A small speaker on the table beside her played Patty Klein. Crazy. Mom hummed along, not quite hitting the notes, but not far off. Lily sat cross-legged in the grass nearby, reading aloud from a school assignment. Something about the Roman aqueducts. Mom didn't follow the content, but she watched Lily's face with the kind of attention that doesn't need comprehension. She nodded at the pauses. She smiled at the parts where Lily's voice got excited. I brought a new orchid, white this time, because the purple one on the windowsill had finally bloomed out. I set it next to the old one. Later in her room, I helped Mom into her chair by the window. She reached for my hand and held it. Her grip was stronger than it had been in Tavares. Steady meals, consistent medication, human contact. She looked at me for a long time. I waited. Sometimes these moments pass without words. Sometimes they don't. "Thank you for coming to get me." 5 words. Clear. Present. Always, Mom. She squeezed my hand once more, then turned toward the window. A cardinal landed on the sill outside, tapped the glass, and flew off. She watched it go. I sat there for another 20 minutes, not talking, not checking my phone, not thinking about timelines or courtrooms or red dots on a forensic chart. Just sitting with my mother in a room that had her photographs, her quilt, and a windowsill full of orchids. Every call, every flight, every document, every sleepless night. Worth it for 5 words. I want to tell you something I wish someone had told me 2 years ago. If someone controls who gets to talk to your parent, that's not protection. That's isolation. There is a difference, and it matters. A caregiver who is doing right doesn't need to block your calls or cancel your visits or tell you the iPad is broken again. You don't need to live nearby to have the right to know your parent is safe. I lived 700 miles away. Craig used that distance like a weapon, told everyone I was absent, uninvolved, too far to matter. Distance is not disqualification. You have every right to ask where your mother is, how she's doing, and where her money is going. If the person in charge won't answer, that's your answer. The system, guardianship, power off attorney, was designed to protect people who can't protect themselves. It usually works, but it only works if someone is watching. If someone checks the statements, visits the facility, asks the questions no one wants to ask. Be the person who watches, not out of paranoia, out of love. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a forensic accountant. I'm a supply chain manager who tracks shipments and budgets for a living. But I know how to follow a trail. And when the trail leads to someone you love being hurt, you follow it to the end. You don't stop because it's uncomfortable. You don't stop because your family tells you to. My brother is facing felony charges. My mother is safe. And I sleep at night knowing I didn't look away. If that makes me the difficult one, the troublemaker, the sister who destroyed the family, then I'll carry that because my mother can't carry anything anymore. So I carry it for her. If you're listening to this and something feels off with your parent, with a sibling, with money that doesn't add up, trust that feeling. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone else to notice. Don't wait until it's too late to trace. The hardest part of this wasn't the courtroom. It wasn't the forensic report or the judge's ruling or the Facebook post with 47 prayers for the wrong person. The hardest part was the day I had to accept that my brother, the person who taught me to ride a bike in our backyard, who held the seat so E wouldn't fall, was the same person who hid our mother in a room under a name that wasn't hers and drained every dollar she'd saved in a lifetime of careful, quiet work. That's the part nobody prepares you for. The betrayal doesn't come from a stranger. It comes from the person you trusted most. But here's what I've learned, standing on the other side of it. Protecting someone you love is not betrayal. Silence is looking away, is telling yourself he's probably handling it when every signal says otherwise. That's the betrayal. Not the phone call to APS, not the petition, not the courtroom. I don't hate my brother, but I will never again give anyone, family or not, unchecked access to someone who can't protect themselves. That's not cynicism. That's a boundary. And boundaries aren't punishments, they're promises. My mother is 82 years old. She has dementia. She forgets my name sometimes. But last Sunday, she held my hand and said, "Thank you for coming to get me." And that's all proof I need that I did the right thing. Protecting someone you love is not betrayal. Silence is. That's my story. And if it sounds familiar, if it sounds like yours or someone you know, I need you to do one thing. Don't wait. Call Adult Protective Services. Talk to an elder law attorney. Follow the trail. Now I have a question for you. If you had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting someone you love, what would you choose? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want more stories like this where real people stand up and say enough, check the description below. There's a link to the next one. Thank you for being here. I mean that.